Hey friends, welcome back to this channel. My name is Stacy and this is Stacy Makes, and we do crochet stuff here. So this video is going to be all about two markets that we did in 1 week. So we had a market Thursday night at a local venue that's called a Girls Night Out, and then we had a market yesterday on Saturday at a local kind of like a farmer's market pavilion setup that they always do on Saturdays, but then they had like a fall bigger market on this particular Saturday, so we signed up for that one. So let's just talk a little bit about what I made leading up to these markets, and then we will go through each market individually for you guys, so you can find out how much I made, what kind of stuff sold, my thoughts and ideas on these totally different types of setups we had to do, and we'll go from there. So this week, leading up to the market, I made a Betty the Cow, which is my cow pattern in my Sitting Animals collection. I can put a picture up here of, it may not be the exact cow I made this week, but it was kind of a cookies and cream style cow. I made a total of 7 chicken nuggets this week. I made a butterfly that was a free pattern from Chanel's Crochet, which was brand new to me. I'll put a picture of the pattern up here. I made 2 pumpkins, 2 mini chickens. This was just a pattern I drafted and threw in the $5 bins. And at my market, I'm going to go ahead and add the stuff I made at my market yesterday. I made a tumbler keychain and a fried egg keychain. I also made a swinging duck. I forgot to write that down, but I made a swinging duck. It's a free pattern by Endless Yarn on Instagram. She has a duck, a frog, a couple of things, so you could go check her out. So I need to write that down because it actually sold, which is probably why I didn't write that down. So leading up to the market and at the market total, I made $127 worth of inventory. I may or may not have missed a few things in there because I was making stuff and throwing it in my bins like I normally do, but then I grabbed some of it, or grabbed it all, took it to the Thursday night market, but some of it I put out, some of it I didn't. It was kind of a mess. I mean, I didn't, anyway. So that's approximately what I made, which isn't bad. $127 worth of inventory, in which I think I probably made a few more things that I didn't actually put in there. I made a swinging frog and a swinging ghost. Okay, so I made a ghost and a frog. The frog was from Endless Yarn as well, and the ghost was from the Whimsical Goblin. So that was $20 more worth of stuff. So $147. Again, I'm probably missing some things because I did not get it all wrote down before I went to the first market, and then I made a few things, and then went to the second market, and then I made some things at the market. So anyway, so that's not bad of a week for me, with actually having, like, Wednesday night I had to go set up the bones of our booth, and then Thursday night I had to leave work early and go and actually set my stuff up. Tara went Wednesday night after I'd already left and set up her stuff, and then I went Thursday because she couldn't take off work early on Thursday. Thursday I had to open up the venue. We own the venue that this is in, and so we had to open up the venue for other people to set up, and so I set up my stuff while everybody else was coming in and out because I had to be there anyway. The event was 5 to 8. It was only 3 hours, and it's in our local town. It's kind of all throughout the town, but mostly Main Street. Girls Night Out is what it's called, and it's kind of just a, hey, get out and shop. The stores are staying open late. There's some fun raffles and events and door prizes and things like that going on, and some specials, stuff like that. And we did this event at our venue last year, and it was amazing. So that's what I made up into the market. Girls Night Out was a 3-hour event Thursday night. I took and set up most of my stuff. Some of it stayed underneath the table. I'm going to insert some footage of the setup. It's 2 booths, but it's technically it's only 6 feet deep, but then it was like 16 to 18 feet long. So it's like a very long, skinny, up against a wall. We have people set up on both walls. It's just a skinny, long building, so people are set up both walls, and then I had one in the back. So people come in and kind of go around in a U shape and go back out the door. I wanted it. There's a lot of kids out with their moms, usually mostly girls, because the girls will go out with their moms. And we set up right where the window where people, and we have great big huge windows on the main street, so people could see our booth, and then the baked goods booth and the jewelry, and there was active consultant set up in there. So it was really well attended, especially if you consider that our town is very, 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 very small. Like, there's less than 2,000 people in this town. So to have several hundred people come through, and people that aren't from our community as well, but several hundred people come through is pretty great, really. And to spend their money locally is just amazing, and we appreciate that support. So anyway, I'm going to insert footage of the setup, the bones of the structure itself. I think I got some video of that, and then Tara set up her stuff, and then I'll show you a video of the actual night of the event. And I think I have some teardown footage from this market, and I'll insert that now, and then I'll be right back and I'll tell you how the market went. Okay, so I sold, so Tara will do her own market recap when she gets a chance. So when I tell you guys what I sold, it is just me personally. It does not include the things that Tara sold. This market was a testament to things that you think are going to sell or didn't sell at the last market, sell at the next market. It is just, it's a roll the dice. I wish, I'm kind of a data driven person, and I wish that I had more concise data that said spend your time and energy on X, and I really just don't have that. I make such a huge variety of things because I like variety, and so when I do that, I make, you know, if I have 300 plushies, 150 of them are likely to be completely unique pieces. So when one sells, I can't say it's a bestseller. Sometimes I make 2 or 3 of something and both of them sell, and then that's kind of gives me a little bit of a clue. But like, you're like, well, but if I'd had more of this one that I sold, I sold more of one of those. And so, but it also attracts a wide variety of customers. You know, you're having that many different types of animals, different styles, different price ranges. Sorry, I had to hear me. Different price ranges just really kind of gives people a huge choice. You know, we have everything from $5 items up to $60, $70, $100 items for our showpieces on the top shelves. So I'm going to run through a couple things that maybe surprised me at this market. I'm not going to run through everything that sold. It is, I handwrite everything down in a booklet as the market's going on. So a huge wide variety of things did sell. I'm going to kind of go over the highlights. The second thing I sold of the night was my Patchy Pup, which is a pattern by Cozy Crochet by Tasha, I believe. I'll put it on the screen. And I've had this for a while. I made this in a thing where I spun the wheel and I randomly picked the colors of the pieces. And someone just came in with their dog rescue shirt on and was like, I need this dog. I mean, I've been dragging this dog around since spring shows. And it just goes to show you that there's something for everybody out there, and just to keep taking those things to the show. And I didn't lower my price, at least not for the venue. So, and I sold that. I sold my Parker the Pig, which is my pattern. I made a jumbo and a mini duck on the week of the Refined Vibes retreat, and I sold the jumbo one at the first show I had, and I sold the smaller one at this show. I sold my Betty the cow, not the one that I just made, but one I'd had, a capybara, a koala, my Millie the monkey that I just made last week. I think it's my own tag-along pattern. I almost did not even put out my keychains. I did not put out my keychain rack. I just threw them in the bin with a sign, and I hung a few on the outside of the bin, which you probably saw in the corner of our booth, because the keychain rack's not very full anymore. So I'm like, I'm just gonna throw them in there because it just takes up so much space to have the keychain rack. And I sold 9 keychains. I mean, like, I sold maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 at the last few markets, and I sold 9. People love digging through there to see what they can find. Several girls came in with their friends and they picked out ones that matched. I sold several of the Stanley tumbler ones. Is the majority of probably what I sold out of there. I sold 3 chicken nuggets, which I had made that week. One of which, named Bob, went home to a loving home and family, and ended up making it in the school Facebook page because she took it to band class. And anyway, it was a fun thing. I sold 8 mystery boxes. I actually had none done. I took the boxes and the tissue paper and the stickers with me to the show. And after I got set up, I thought, I'm going to take some of these $8, $10, $12 items that are just, you know, unique and cool, but they're like the only one I have. And I'm going to pack some mystery boxes. So I packed 6. And when it got down to 1, I packed like 4 more. Anyway, I sold 8 mystery boxes at $8 a piece, which I didn't even have. I don't even know if I had any at the last show that I did. I sold the swinging duck that I made from Endless Yarns pattern. I sold the 2 mini chickens that were black and white little chickens. I sold 5 scrunchies. I hadn't sold, I again had thought about not putting these out, but I ended up putting them in the bottom of, I have like a fruit stand, and I ended up throwing them in the bottom of that bin with just a sign. And instead of being on the keychain rack or something, and that worked out really well. I sold 5 at that market, and I sold my Gordon the gator, and I sold a pumpkin and a little chick and Posh. I sold one of my sloths, the pink one. If you saw the reel where I made a blue and a pink one, I sold the pink one. So that's pretty much all I sold. So I sold my pig, my Betty, and my gator. So I kind of have some sitting animals to remake for sure. Keychains, 5 $8 items for sure that need to be remade. My total for this night was $411, which is amazing for a super local, free for me, 3-hour event. I mean, I had to be there for 5 hours because I had to come set up at 3 to open the doors for everybody, and I came a little bit on Wednesday night to set up the bones of the structure. But anyway, I mean, I was blown away. I think that is more than I did last year, honestly. Terry did a little less than she did last year. Together, we probably did about the same, but we had maybe twice as much stuff. So anyway, Girls Night Out was a huge success. We really enjoyed this event. It was just amazing to see people walking around our town and participating in the local, and buying and eating from the local businesses. So, okay, and that was Thursday night. I got home late Thursday and unloaded again. And then I'm like, why did I do that? I got to reload all that stuff tomorrow night because I got to leave Saturday morning for the next show. But I also needed to do a Walmart run, which wasn't going to fit in my car with all that stuff anyway. So unloaded, reloaded. I didn't get a chance to make much between Thursday and Friday, but what I did make, I've told you about. The next event was just the next town over, 15-minute drive. It was 9 to 1, but they usually start their farmers market at 8. So some of their regulars were going to go ahead and set up at 8 and be there and ready by 8 because they were not charging for people to come in and out of this event. but they were going to go ahead and let shoppers, I mean, obviously there's no way to like block this building off. It's just outside. So shoppers may or may not be around from 8 to 9. So they kind of like, hey, if you want to come early, come early. So we came about 7:30ish. I definitely wanted to unload all of my stuff and have my car moved and have most of my bones of my structure and stuff built before the 8 o'clock mark, which we pretty much did. I got there, and for the first time, I've been to this venue 3 or 4 times before outside under this pavilion, which is great because it's outside, but I don't have to bring a tent or really worry about being rained on because it's under this great big huge roof. So I got there, and for the first time ever, we were in the middle. So she has people all around the edges of this pavilion, and then there's like a strip kind of in the middle. And not only were we in the middle, we were in the middle, and people had access to us really from all 4 sides. So there was someone on both sides of us in the middle. We were in the middle of the middle, but the person that set up at the end kind of had a rack that they wanted people to have access to. So there needed to be an aisle here. Well, the girl sitting at the other end of the middle barely had much there, just a card table, and then she sells her fresh flowers, and that was her venue. And technically people could go through behind her and us. There was enough room there. So I'm like, how are we going to set this up to have access basically to our booth all the way around? Normally when we go, we get a 10 by 10 on this side, and so we kind of have to do a Z or a small U shape, and it's tight. So I did not bring, I have way more bookshelves. I had way more racks, displays, crates, all of these things. Had I known that we were in the middle and accessible from all sides, I would have brought way more display items. So when I got there and realized I was in the middle and access from all sides, I really had to think about, how am I going to do this? I've set up on a corner before, but never like where there was, 360 degree access. So we ended up setting up in a reverse U and put ourselves in the back of it. So the main aisle walked around, so that those 2 sides we were set up here, and then we also set up here. So we were in a reverse U, and we set up in the end of the reverse U. That way we can kind of watch both sides. We could see the front, we could see the sides, we could greet, and then it was unique. It was nice. I mean, for sure. Had I had more display items, I would not have gotten any more product out. We still got all of our product on display. It would not have made any difference in sales. So it really wasn't a bad thing. It just may have looked more empty than I liked. But actually, in the long run, not double stacking our bookshelves and having to sit kind of behind them where we couldn't see people or interact with people really wouldn't have done us much good anyway. So I had only 3 of our bookshelves and didn't stack any of them. I had our 4-foot table, and then I had our 6-foot table. I'll insert footage now so you can see. I did not get any footage of us actually setting up because, again, people were already in there setting up. There was no good place to set up a tripod that was not in other people's ways trying to get in and out, since we were like in the middle of this great big thing. So I'll insert footage of the booth setup itself, and then I have, I think, one update that I actually taped while I was at the market, and then I taped one in my car after the market was over. So will insert whatever footage I have here for you from this event. Okay, it's 11 o'clock, middle of the market. It's probably, I'm going to guess that the busiest part of the day is probably over. We did fairly well for it being local. I mean, I think so. I mean, we're going to have a lot of stuff to make for the next market. A lot of stuff to do. Tara can't keep a loaf cat in stock. Made one, sold one, Literally. Yeah. made a snake, sold a snake. So it's just getting warmer, but we're in the shade, and there's a little bit of a breeze every once in a while, which is kind of nice. So I'm sure you saw in the clips that it was kind of a weird, odd setup, the way we have access to our booth from like every single side, so it's had a really hard time figuring out how we were going to set it up. That was the first for us, but I'm sure I'll talk more about that in the recap, so just wanted to give you an update. Okay friends, so you're gonna hear the air conditioner because I have it on full blast because it is, again, a pretty warm day for October. But it was really nice this morning, and it's not as humid and it's not as hot as it was at the fall festival, but it was a pretty good day. I haven't totaled everything up. I don't like to do that until I just get home and wrap up what I'm doing, but I have a feeling that, I mean, I exceeded what I made here last year. I think I only made a couple $100 here last year, maybe 200 something. I think I'm gonna guess that I made 300 something this time. So just a good day. We're all packed up. Tara's walking her stuff to her car. She drove separate. We're gonna go get some lunch, cool down, because we are very sweaty and hot. Hopefully, I'm sure we smell. So we're gonna go do that, and then I'll go home and then load, add everything up, and then I've got to get busy. Like the last couple markets, I have not made back. Like I had a $400 night Thursday night, and if I had a $300 or $400 night today, that means that, I mean, I just went down $800-900 worth of inventory in a week. Let alone 2 weeks ago when I had a show and I did a couple $100. I mean, it adds up, and then before you know it, you go into your largest show, which is November the 8th and 9th, and you have hardly anything. So I just need to I need to take some inventory, I think, when I get home, maybe not tonight, but maybe tomorrow, and take some inventory and just really see where I'm at with every price point, what I'd have in my inventory left, and just make a plan and just try to stick to it the best I can, in a priority order. I almost need to just make it, this is the highest to the lowest priority stuff, and go down the list. But obviously, if I feel like making something down on the lower of the list, but not something at the top, then I have the option to do that and still feel like I'm working towards my goals. So, but anyway, overall a good day, hot, good to spend it with Tara. Saw a lot of people that I knew today, and a successful day. And it's 1:21. It ended at 1, and it was busy pretty much. I mean, it was steady pretty much up until it was over. We made a sale right as we were getting ready to pack up again. And it was just a $40 booth fee, 15 minutes from my house. You just can't beat that. So it's a beautiful day, and so we're just grateful. So I'll let you guys go, and I'll give you guys a recap later. Okay, so this is not a huge event. There's one food truck which actually sold out, that had like Korean style food, and then there was the pavilion was full of vendors, and there was a couple people outside of the venue or the pavilion with tents. And then the place behind us is actually open inside. They sell like repurposed vintage stuff, or vintage things is redone. It's really kind of neat. And they were selling mums and pumpkins and stuff. My takeaway from this market was there was not one great big standout thing that sold. Again, it was all about variety. I mean, this list, individual things that sold. Couple things I sold multiples of, but not many. But at the end of the day, I was freaking out a little bit because I'm like, I have another market in 2 weeks, and then we have our retreat, another week off, and then we have our biggest show that we've never ever done, but I heard is just insane. Like, if you can build the product and take the product, I mean, you're gonna sell a lot of it. And I'm afraid that we're going to go, it's a Friday night and a Saturday event, and I'm afraid that we're going to go on Friday night and not have much left for Saturday, and that's part of like the contract. So anyway, that's 5 weeks away. And so these little bitty shows that have led up to this place have depleted our inventory quite a bit, especially when I'm not remaking it as fast as it's going out the door. I'll just go over some of the highlights and hit on some things. Know that I sold some things I'm not going to mention as well, but I will give you the total. I sold just 2 keychains. Again, I had 3 mystery boxes. I had 1 left from the last market, and I made 2 more while I was there. So I had 3 and I sold 2 of them. I sold a couple tofu turtles. Hadn't sold any of those for a while. I sold one of my carvent clips and my mermaid, but they asked me to put eyes on it. I've had this mermaid that had the weird, huge, really bad embroidered eyes on it. I cut the eyes out and I just took it with no eyes to the last few shows. And the mom was like, her little girl's like, I really like this, but it kind of creeped her out, didn't have eyes. And I happened to have my black yarn on me to do chicken nugget faces if I decided I wanted to. So I told her I could make eyes, but they would be just out of cotton in the shoulder. And so anyway, I think Tara actually got a clip of me doing this on the spot, and these people were watching me. It was kind of nerve-wracking, but it worked out. She ended up with some eyes, and she was so happy. I gave it back to her. She's like, oh, it like just made such a difference. It wasn't as creepy. She knew what side was the right side too. I sold a jellyfish, which I've been hauling around jellyfish for a long time and not been selling those. I sold one of my chicks with hats, so I've only got 2 of those left. I sold my really big brontosaurus that I've had for quite a long time, which I think is Not Too Shabby's design. And then I sold 2 of the smaller ones that I made last week. I made them in teal and canyon mystical yarn. Got this canyon. And then I made it in teal, which you can't see, it's on over there. And I sold both of those. So I only have 2 left, and they're grayish. So I think the bright dinosaurs are going to do better than the more realistic colored ones. I sold 3 more scrunchies. I sold the rat. I sold another swinging duck, which actually means then that I made 2 swinging ducks this week. That's right. So there's more inventory I made. I sold 2 out of the 3 skunks, which is my skunk pattern. I only have 1 left and it's teal. So I definitely need to make more black and white skunks. I sold 2 more nuggets with the faces on it. Because I made more nuggets. That's one of the things I did between the markets. As I came home and I made 4 more nuggets. I got a picture of them. I sold the penguin I made by Crochet by Jenna. I sold my last Parker the pig. My only possum I had. I sold 1 jumping spider. That's just kind of some of the highlights. This was a $40 booth fee, which is not horrible. I mean, for a local venue. And it was 9 to 1, which we were set up pretty much by like 8:15, 8:30 for sure. We were definitely set up by 8:30. I sold $407 worth at this show, minus my booth fee of $40. $367 was my total profit. So between both shows, I sold $818 in 2 shows, which is a lot of inventory, guys. I've got another show in 2 weeks, and then the biggest one of our lives 3 weeks after that, which I hope it is. I really am going to go to this market. I like to go into markets with low expectations. If I make my booth fees back and a little bit of money, then it's not a complete failure as long as I didn't ruin anything and, you know, have any tragedies that day. Like the windy market that we had, or if it's pouring down rain and stuff gets ruined, I'm basically end up in the negative or something, then that's a totally different story. But anyway, so it was a lot. So I ended up with in my car a little freaked out that I'm like, I have no idea how much inventory I have now, and I would have to go back to my inventory video, but I'm gonna guess that, see, I had, I think $3,200 worth of inventory when I started, before the Effingham show, the very first show, the beginning of September. I think it was like $3,200 or $3,300 worth. And then I made things. I sold things, but then I made things. You know, I had some weeks where I made $100 and some $200 weeks in there. So I probably made $600, $700, $800 with stuffs, which means I probably had around $4,000 total of inventory, minus the shows. So I got home and I'm like, I need to do inventory. So I brought all my bags in here and I just sat and I wrote everything down. And I know it's old fashioned pen and paper, write it down. It's just something about seeing it and having easy access to it that I just love. So I wrote down all of my bigger items, and then I wrote down all my miscellaneous stuff and my keychains, and then all of my $5, $8, $10, $12 bins and what was in them. This time, instead of just adding up how many I had, I wanted to kind of write down the, my $12 bin. I have 3 geckos and 3 tofus. And also this helps me look at those bin items and think, okay, if I need that price point of bin items, then I can look and see what I've made in those bin items too, which will be helpful for me in the future. So I wrote down all the stuff. I added it all up, and I have $2,545 worth of inventory. That was right after the show yesterday. So I was a little freaked out by that. I'm not gonna lie. My goal was to take over $4,000 worth of inventory to the Springfield show. And I have another market in between here and there. No idea how big of a market that's going to be. Last year it got canceled. And this year it's back on. I have no idea how many vendors they ended up with, but it's at a really neat venue at the town over. But I'm a little freaked out. I have 2 weeks until the next show. So let's say we go to the next show and we sell another $400 worth. That means I have $2,100 worth of inventory, which means that to hit my goal of taking $4,000 worth of inventory to my next show, I need to make $2,000 worth of inventory, but in the next 5 weeks. Is that realistic between shows and my retreat, which I'm going to get to crochet hopefully a lot on my retreat, but I'm also the one that's making the meals and doing the giveaways and teaching people how to do the stitch markers and safety eyes. And you cannot just crochet, I cannot anyway, crochet just all day long and it just not wreck my hands. My hands are feeling okay. I think I'm just living with the fact that my hands are I just have achy hands, and they don't hurt when I actually crochet. They just kind of ache at night. And if I take an ibuprofen before I go to bed, I'm fine. The next day I wake up and I'm doing all right. So right now, anyway, I don't have any like wrist tendonitis or anything like that going on, because I've had that before, but I also don't want to get in that situation. So my plan is to just make as much as I possibly can, try to stay focused. I made myself a focus list. I don't like to be told what to do, even if it's by myself, but I do like to have a plan, and it helps me come home and just go, okay, let's look at the list. What do I want to make that's on this list? What yarn do I need to grab? And let's just get to it. I'm also going to, my lunch break has been kind of something for myself or whatever for a long time now. I'm going to repack my lunch break bag of yarn to chicken nugget stuff or keychain stuff or something that I actually will be made into inventory, so that on my lunch breaks I'm doing inventory as well. Even if it's $10, $12 a day times 3 or 4 days a week, that's $40, $50 for the next 5 weeks. That's $250 over my lunch break that I can make an inventory that will help me, because I've only got so many evening hours and so many weekend hours. So I think I've got a plan. I feel better, and I'm kind of running on a lot of adrenaline from this plan and this thing that I got to get to making stuff. And so I've got my inventory wrote down. I have a plan of what I want to make, which is, it's ambitious. It's a lot of small stuff. It's also a lot of medium things that sold. So we'll have medium inventory. And I think I'm on the right track. So I'm excited about that. I do want to leave you with, I got home again. I made this focus list, and I'm like, okay, now I have 4 or 5 hours this evening. Nowhere to go. What can I make now? So I got home, and after I did all my inventory, I sat down and I'm like, let's start working on this list again, which I bought a mug tree. I haven't gotten it yet from Amazon. I really loved the swinging duck pattern so bad, and the frog pattern, that I'm like, I want to make a whole bunch of these little swinging animals, and I want to have a unique little space to put them. So I bought a mug tree that I think is going to be perfect for them, and it needs to be full. So part of my focus list is filling up that mug tree with different types of things. I'm hoping to find 4 or 5 things in particular that I really like, and then just making those 4 or 5 things and just really filling this mug tree up. So last night when I got home, not included in my $147-ish worth of inventory that I made, is the stuff that I made last night. More of the swinging duck pattern. I made one pink and I made one on a green swing. They're just so cute. Hey, here they come. Again, this is a free pattern. This is Dax the Swinging Duck by Endless Yarn. It's Alyssa. She was at a Refined Vibes retreat. So cute. And then I made a swinging pickle. There's a bajillion free pickle patterns all over the internet, and I just decided to try to balance 2 of his little baubles where they were on the side so that I could run the swing through them. I didn't find a swinging pickle pattern. I just made this one. It kind of has a little butt that just happened to land right in that spot. Anyway, so a pickle, and then I made this cardinal, which we live a couple hours from St. Louis and are surrounded by cardinal fans, but also we have an abundance of cardinals here. A lot of people believe that, you know, when they see a cardinal, that it's like a relative that's passed on visiting you, and have a lot of sentiment with cardinals around here. I need to do some work on this pattern. I love this pattern. It's a paid pattern on Etsy, but it's not going to be as fast as these. And I really want, you can see the size difference. I mean, it's got way more size, like bulk to it. And it's on like a round swing instead of a flat one, which I could change that. But, and it had these surface crocheted on, and I'm like, I need to find a way to crochet those in when I'm making it so that I don't have to go back and do that. It just takes more time. But anyway, I need to redo this. I really like this design. Really, if I was going to price this for my time, I would probably have to do more like 15. And I'm thinking, I was originally doing 10 for these, but I'm thinking I'm going to do 12. I spoke to some people who are doing 15, but they're doing them like in Burnett, which again doesn't change how long it takes you, but it does change like how much the yarn costs you and the size. So like these are Posh and Naughty Ball yarn. So if you don't know what Naughty Ball yarn is, it's just like Posh. It's completely interchangeable. And you're working with it, you cannot tell the difference between them. And Naughty Ball yarn has like 29 colors. Tons of colors. So like this green is Naughty Ball, the red is Naughty Ball, that orange is Naughty Ball. So anyway, way more variety. So I wanted to do 12 on these, so I need to find some modification to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually I made $68 worth of inventory last night if I'm doing 12. But anyway, I need to find a way to make that cardinal pattern a little more friendly. And then I found this little pocket frog pattern by Steph Stitches, I believe, on Instagram. She's got a PDF of it, but it's free on Instagram, but it's in a reel. So it's like, it's a 1-minute reel that just like doesn't stop. So like you either need to write it down, watch the reel and write it all down as fast as you can, and then watch it again and make sure you wrote it down right. Or you just like have to constantly be replaying it so you can figure out what your next roll is, or round, you know what I mean. Anyway, super cute. I was just looking for something different to go in my $5 bin, and this is definitely going in my $5 bin, for sure. These are cute. I mean, it's just like a little, called a pocket frog. So, and then I made another skunk last night. This is Pepper, Pepper the skunk, my pattern on Etsy. I think it's $3 on Etsy. So many fuzzies. And this is $15. I sell these for $15. So altogether, I did make $68 worth of inventory last night, but I was $68 for one day for me is quite a bit. So today's plan is I go to my mom's for lunch. I'm going to take my bag like I usually do with either nuggets or something in it easy that I can make while I sit there and I can talk, so keep my hands busy and be making something. And yeah, so I'll get back to my focus list. I did put up an Instagram story yesterday saying shows have been good. I need to make so much inventory. How much do you think I can make in 2 weeks? And I'm like, and keep in mind, I work a full-time job. And I made a scale, or a sliding scale, like $200 to $1,500. Like, how much do you think I can make in 2 weeks? Some of you really believed in me because you were like, whoop, $1,500. I'm like, in 2 weeks. I don't know there's just not very many full-time crochet artists, I think, that don't make $750 of inventory a week. But I love you guys. Thanks for believing in me. But it did land kind of in the middle, which the middle to me is like $850 to $1,000 in 2 weeks. And that's pretty insane. But I'm going to, I think, kind of take that as a challenge to myself, because I can't sell at a show what I don't have. And I have lots of yarn that needs turned into lots of product that needs turned into money. Appreciate you guys sticking out with me. Sorry for my rambling. Again, you know, 2 markets, making an inventory plan. There's a train, if you can hear that. Making an inventory plan and just trying to focus on what needs to be focused on for the next few weeks until my next show. So next week's video should be like a what I made, and hopefully it is a huge what I made this week, because hopefully I get a lot of stuff made. And then the next week after that should be a market recap for another market, and then it'll be retreat video, and then it'll be what I made the week between the retreat and the biggest show of our life, and then it will be the biggest show of our life, which I'm super excited about. And then I'll have a month from the biggest show that we've ever been to, which I've heard. I've never been to this show, so I can't really say it's going to be my biggest show ever. And I just got done saying earlier how I try to go into a show with no expectations, but because of the booth fee and the travel, which we're sharing a hotel, so that'll be nice, but I need it to be a certain level for it to be successful. So between that biggest show though and the biggest show we have ever done before, which is the first weekend of December, we have a month. So if we sell mostly out, we have 4 weeks plus Thanksgiving in there to make until that show in December, and then we're done for this busy market season. So I have had some people ask about doing a market in between there, and I really just think I can't commit myself to that, because it's just, we're going to need every single bit of that 4 weeks plus holidays and stuff in there to get ourselves together for what I know is usually is a really, really great show for us in December. So okay, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Feel free to ask questions or leave comments if there's anything that you are wanting a pattern for or wanting to know who made it. This is going to be kind of a throw it together edit. It was a lot of stuff. I've had, you know, I got some things to do, so I'm probably not going to add a whole bunch of stuff in the description for you today, but if you want it, put it down in the comments below and I'll try to respond to you, or add it into the description for you, so it is there. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. You guys help hold me accountable. You know, knowing I have to come back here and tell you whether or not I hit my goals and did what I said I was going to do just really keeps me on track sometimes. So I appreciate that. And we will talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content and don't want to miss it in the future, of course. And I think that's all I have for you guys. Have a great week. And as always, happy crocheting. We'll see you. Bye.